Hare Krishna and welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita session. We started last Sunday. We started discussing different verses spoken by Shri Prahalad Maharaj in the seventh canto of Bhagavatam, where this story appears. And since we couldn't complete that presentation and discussion, we thought we'll continue where we left off in the previous session. So we'll get started with our little recap, and followed by we will progress through the rest of the presentation. Shri Prahalad Uvacha. This is Prahalad Maharaj DT in Sridham Mayapur. Next to the Narsimha DT, there is this beautiful DT of Prahalad Maharaj which is there. Now we discussed this. We'll quickly run through this for the benefit of those who couldn't attend last session. So this started discussion on the basically two inquiries. This whole pastime was narrated by Narad Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Basis two inquiries. One inquiry was done by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadev Goswami. He's inquiring whether God is partial or God is impartial. God is equal to all or he's partial to his devotees. Instead of giving a straight answer, Sukadev Goswami relay or direct telecast take him to another conversation which took place in Rajasuya Yajna, where after killing of Shishupal's soul entered Krishna's body, and Sanyuja Mukti was offered to Shishupal, who did nothing else but giving blaspheming Krishna all his life, right from his birth till the moment he left his body. He was killed by Krishna by the Sudarshan Chakra. All he did was blaspheming Krishna. He was speaking ill about Krishna all the time. Now, and seeing this happen, Yudhishthir Maharaj was bewildered and he inquired with Narad Muni. And in response to this, Narad Muni, instead of again giving a straightforward answer, he relay a pastime which happened with Hiranyakshak. After Hiranyakshak getting killed, how Narad Muni describes how Hiranyakashipu obtains his performs such huge penance and austerities, and Brahmadev appears in front of him. He asks for a special boon. He wanted to be immortal, which Brahmaji couldn't give. So he did a permutation and combination of various terms and conditions and fairly covered whatever he could think of so as to ensure that he doesn't get killed. And by mercy of Brahma, he got a body of a young youthful body which is equal to a Vajra, which was as tough as a Vajra. So and this would not decay or become old. So he thought probably he has everything. He has long duration of life, a healthy young body, and practically no death because he thought his terms and conditions were such that nobody can meet those terms and conditions. So with this, he came back. He made sure that all devatas, to prove his dominance over them, instead of killing them, defeating them, he started using them as his servants in his palace, royal palace, and he has unrivaled kingdom. He was ruling the whole Brahmanda, and in the material world, the whole Brahmanda was scared of him, and all demigods were worried about him, scared of him. So it is said that he had such unlimited power over the material world that if he wants sun to set next moment, sun would go and set next moment. Sun was following his instructions rather than following instructions of Krishna. So if he wanted rain, Indra would come and provide rain that very moment, no matter what season it is, no matter what is the whether the people are performing sacrifices or not. And he ensured that in his kingdom, in his entire Brahmanda, the offering to Vishnu is stopped. offering to devatas, they are stopped. And his understanding was that if you stop Brahmanas' activity, if you curtail their activities, if they stop performing their activities of offering sacrifices to demigods, and eventually the demigods will become weaker and will get killed automatically. And when demigods will become weaker and will get eventually killed, even Vishnu will become weaker and eventually he will also die. That is what he wanted. That's why he wanted to ensure that nobody is able to perform any austerity. now now this is where Hiranyakashipu was, and he had this small 5-year-old boy Prahlad, whom he had sent to Gurukul. Gurukul jata the, and after completing the term of Gurukul, he returned. And Hiranyakashipu, like any other father, he took him on his lap, he caressed his body, smelled his body, and very affectionately, very lovingly, he asked this question to Prahlad that what is the best thing that you have learned in the Gurukul? You've been attending Gurukul for some time. So tell me, what is the best thing that you have learned? And this is the first time this kind of an interaction is happening between son and father. And what is the response given by Prahlad Maharaj? He's saying that uh, you are living in a graha andhakupam, graham andhakupam. This graha, this material life, household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in the dark well, graham andhakupam, where there is no water but only suffering. And he advises Hiranyakashipu to give up this position and go to forest, go to Vana. More clearly, Prabhupada clarifies that go to Vrindavan and engage in Krishna conscious activities. Now, having heard this kind of a response, Hiranyakashipu becomes mad, and he understands that someone is spoiling, is poisoning mind of my son. And then he scold the teachers. The teachers are sons of Shukracharya, Shandaka and Amrika. So, and then they take him to a secluded place and inquires from Prahlad that we are not teaching you anything like this. We are teaching you material world is meant for enjoyment, and we are teaching you different ways and means using which you can enjoy the world, you can exploit the world, you can manipulate the people, you can kill your enemy, you can dominate your over your enemies so that you get unrivaled, unparalleled authority to exploit and enjoy the world. But why are you telling something else to your father? Who taught you all this? Then and then he says that furthermore, they say that you're talking in favor of our enemy. Vishnu is our enemy, he killed your uncle. And then to him Prahlad Maharaj replies saying that there is no enemy, there is no friend, these conceptions are incorrect, because everyone is servant of God. Everyone is servant of God. To that extent, everyone is equal. Everyone is in an equal footing. So there's no question of anybody being an enemy or a friend. These are all bodily conceptions. In spiritually, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, part and parcel of God, and we are supposed to serve the whole, the super soul. And that way we are servants of God, or everyone is servant of God. Then um, and he says that further, he goes on explaining that he says that I am attracted to Krishna just like metal particle is attracted to a magnet. He says thus I have no intelligence, I don't know what you're talking. Again, they teach him, they try teaching him again in the Gurukul, and then bring him back to Hiranyakashipu after few more days, few more weeks and months, and Hiranyakashipu repeats his question. And again, this time Prahlad Maharaj gives even difficult answer, even more trickier answer that is intimidated Hiranyakashipu. The previous answer was not sufficient. So now he tells about the Navavidha Bhakti, that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakhyam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These 9 processes of devotional service one should practice. And this person is supposed to have all the knowledge, otherwise you have no knowledge. This is the best thing that I have learned in the Gurukul. No wonder Hiranyakashipu again becomes mad, and this time he inquires with his teachers, and then they confirms to him that this is not that they have taught very clearly. Also they have mentions that we have ensured that nobody comes from the outside to teach this kind of things to Prahlad. If Prahlad know this, he probably know this from his previous birth. You find out from him only why, who is taught him, because he's not telling us. And we can't exploit this kind of an answer from him. So it's up to you to figure it out. And then Hiranyakashipu inquires with Prahlad that who's taught you all this. And Prahlad Maharaj again gives a very wonderful reply. So this is the Shri Prahalad Uvacha Matirna Krishna Parata Svatova Mitho Bhipad Yeta Graha Vratanam Adanda Adanta Go Adanta Gobhir Vishitam Tamestram Punah Punah Charvita Charvananam. This is where we were in our last session. So he's saying that because of their uncontrolled senses, persons who are dedicated to material life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew with that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others or by their own efforts or by a combination of both. A very important instruction. Prahlad is saying that anybody who is say whose senses are uncontrolled, or persons too addicted to the materialistic way of life. Materialistic way of life is means sense enjoyment. Life, the sole goal for life is enjoying and controlling. The enjoying mentality and the controlling mentality, that is materialistic way of life. And anybody who wants to live his life for these two things, Krishna, he says that Krishna consciousness, the love for Krishna is never aroused. The inclination towards Krishna are never aroused. And that he says either by their own efforts, or by the efforts of other people, or a combination of both. So you're helped by someone, or you yourself trying to become a Krishna conscious, or somebody is trying to help you. But as long as one remain attached to the uncontrolled senses and the addicted to the materialistic way of life, they cannot make much progress. The parallel verse to this is Bhogeshwarya, Bhoga and Aishwarya. Aishwarya is opulence, Bhoga is sense gratification. Anybody who is attached to these two things, the enjoying and controlling mentality, the Bhog and enjoying, and the Aishwarya is collecting, accumulating more and more opulence. And anybody who is attached to these two things, asak prasaktanam taya aparate chetasam, their mind is, the chetana is up, as if it is apaharata. Apaharata means as if it is kidnapped. And once their mind is kidnapped, mind and intelligence is kidnapped, Bhogeshwara prasaktanam taya aparata chetasam vyavasayitmaka buddhi samadhona vidyate. Such people cannot practice devotional service with single-minded focus. So they cannot make any progress in devotional service, in the subject matter of devotion. So we'll go back to our questions. These are the questions that we discussed in the previous session. We discussed Graha Andhakupam. What does it mean? We took we gave an homework. We gave some homework as well, and I posted that homework in groups, and I received few responses. But feel free to give response. We discussed this verse with this terminology, the concept that Graha Andhakupam, and why is this a pessimistic view or a realistic view? And we concluded in our group discussion that it's a realistic statement by Prahalad Maharaj. He's not a pessimistic or a negative outlook that he is expressing. This is indeed a a deep dark well of material existence where there is only struggling, there is only suffering. There is small amount of happiness which can kind of keep us floating, but otherwise in general this is suffering. There is only suffering in this material world. And our homework was to bring this concept to our own life and tell why we agree with this. Looking at our own life, why do we agree with this statement that graha andhakupam? Or is it that my life is not like this, maybe somebody else's life is like this, or Prahalad Maharaj's life is like this? Because Prahalad Maharaj is the son of a king who is ruling over this whole universe. And had he given up, had he given up the the worship of Vishnu, then the bhoga and aishwarya of three world was present before him for enjoyment. His father would have given him anything for enjoyment. And but he considered bhakti of Vishnu, Vishnu aradhana, remembrance of Vishnu, loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, superior to those enjoyments. And hence he's in fact referring to what Hiranyakashipu, life Hiranyakashipu is living as Graha Andhakupam. And he advises him to go to Vana. So our homework was to look at our own life story. We are all living a life, and our, we can narrate a nice story out of our own life. Nobody may make any movies on it, but nevertheless it's important because it's our own life. And whatever life we have lived, we are we are 20-year-old, we are 30-year-old, 50, 60, 70-year-old, whatever time we have spent on this planet, we should have had sufficient realizations why this world is Graha Mandakupam. Prahlad Maharaj is calling this material world as Graha Mandakupam at the age of 5. All of us are have already passed that age. So we should be able to define, looking at our life, our own life story, why we agree, why we want to agree with Prahlad Maharaj's statement. Feel free to record a voice message explaining this, or feel free to type a paragraph and send it to me. Don't send it on any groups, but that will be very nice if you can compare the teachings in the scriptures and bring it to your own life and compare the two and reflect on that. Then your learning becomes very, very deep. We'll have a few more discussions coming up now. The first point, the first question we will discuss today is Punah Punah Charvita Charvana Nam. Now this is mentioned in the 30th verse we just saw. Prahlad is saying that your that here it is saying that Punah Punah Charvita Charvananam, that you are chewing what has already been chewed, repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. And their inclination, and anybody who is doing this, their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused. Please raise hands so that we can discuss what does what does Prahlad Maharaj saying with this particular statement, Punah Punah Charvita Charvananam. Feel free to raise hands so that we can discuss. Angaraj Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, by this statement, I mean that this body is the result of our past desires and our karmas. Or again and again, we are involved in the sense gratification. These bodies is also the result of the earlier sense gratification. We have taken the number of births in the earlier past times also, but we have not realized the purpose of the life, the real Krishna consciousness. We have not involved in the Krishna consciousness. Again and again, we are seeking the happiness from the sense gratification. Prabhuji.
Yeah, very nice, Roji. So do you understand, do you imply that this statement has a focus only in this birth or it's multi-birth?
Sir, Prabhuji, I think this statement has the implication on the various births we have taken in the past also. Because at the
Okay.
time of birth, I heard somewhere that during the at the time of birth, the person prays to God that at the time after the birth, I will engage in the devotional services. But after taking the birth, we again involved in the sense gratification by the impact of the materialistic thing. We get again involved in the sense gratification. So I think this statement has implication on the future births and in the past birth.
All right. Very nice. Anybody want to add to Angaraj, what Angaraj
Hare
Prabhu has
Krishna
just said?
Prabhu.
Yes, Anand Roji.
Our body, we are repeatedly taking birth in this world. One of cycle of birth and death continues. We are not able to come out of it. This is to come out of it. We have to become Krishna consciousness by following the path of devotional service. So, chewing the chewed means repeatedly in getting engaged in the cycle of birth and death. This is because of we are in, our body is engaged in sense gratification. So to come out of this, it is possible only by devotional service, by achieving Krishna consciousness by means of devotional service. So that is what I think it is like that.
Thank you so much, Roji. Very nice. So that's precisely what the answer is, and thank you both of you for contributing. Others, please feel free to raise hand, and maybe whatever is in our comes to our mind, please speak out, because this is how we will learn. This is, and we may give wrong answers as well, and feel free to give wrong answers as well, and we can collectively learn and and correct ourselves. Kritika Mataji, yes.
Yes, I think that here what is been said in these sentences, I think it's saying that doing the same mistake again and again. Though God gives us many opportunities to correct ourselves, that sometimes we do mistakes, but then God shows us the path. But still, if we are not able to see, or if we are even by seeing them, ignoring them, so doing the same mistakes again and again, ignoring what path God is showing to you. I think this can be a meaning of this word. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. So yes, basically falling prey to our uncontrolled senses and doing what we did, which got us back into this material world. And what we did when we are engaged in sense gratification activities alone and does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, what has to happen is Krishna consciousness has to be aroused. And if it's like burning a wood, if you wish to burn a log of wood, you have to protect it from getting wet. If you keep pouring water on it and at another side you try to burn it, it's never going to happen. It will just create a lot of smoke and create a lot of trouble. But if you wish to burn a wood, you must protect it from getting it wet. Similarly, if we want to attain Krishna, we must protect ourselves from unnecessarily indulging into the sense gratification activities. Our consciousness, if that is consumed by sense gratification, thoughts of sense gratification, or process of sense gratification, or accumulating facilities for future sense gratification, if this is all what is in our mind, then we cannot perform bhakti for Krishna. We cannot become a good devotee of Krishna, no matter how hard we try, no matter how hard others trying, and combination of both. So sometimes we may wonder why we are not making progress to increase in the spiritual activities. And this is answer the answer is hidden in this particular verse by Prahalad Maharaj, that unless we need to stop certain things and start doing certain things in order to see the result. If we keep pouring water on the wood and on the and try to burn the same wood, both things are not going to happen simultaneously. The water, the wetness of that wood will make it difficult, practically impossible for it to get burned. And similarly, so we need to protect the wood by for getting it wet. So we have to protect that log of wood from water. Don't let it get wet. Similarly, we have to protect ourself, our consciousness from the sense gratification activities, from the discussion about sense gratification, from the attraction, getting attracted towards sense gratification. Some there will be there will be eating, there will be mating, there will be sleeping done, there will be defending done, even by a Krishna conscious person. But he's not bewildered by those things. His life is not to eat. He doesn't consider his life to sleep. To perform sense gratification. His life goal is to perform devotional service, so that Krishna consciousness, constant remembrance of Krishna, is aroused. And for that, he do restrict, he regulate those activities. Don't focus too much on those activities. So we'll move forward. We have more questions coming up. In the 31st verse, Prahalad Maharaj says something very significant. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leaders or guru a similar blind man attached to sense gratification, sense object, he cannot understand that goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. So this is very significant. So this is Prahalad Maharaj is saying that blind people leading blind people. So hence we need to very careful. We need to be very careful to whom we trust in subject matter of devotional service or even in general. So we'll read again. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man. So anybody person who wants to enjoy material life, Prahlad Maharaj consider him to be a blind man. Why blind? Because it's not literally blind. He has eyes. He can see things, but he can't see things as they are. He can't see that life has a different purpose. And what does such person do? If you want to be, when you want to enjoy, when you want to become a cricketer, you choose a cricket guru, a similar guru who can teach you cricket. Now, similarly, if anybody who wants to enjoy material life, he will choose a similar person as his guru or a leader who is also attached to the external sense object. Now, both of them together cannot understand that the goal of life is to return back to Godhead and engage in loving devotional service of Lord Vishnu. A blind man guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch. Materially attached men led by another materially attached men are bound by ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in the materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita, which describes this, that comes in the 13th chapter, 22nd verse, one of my favorite verse, that Purusham Prakriti Stohi Bhunte Prakriti Jangunan Karana Guna Sangosya Sat Asat Yoni Janmasu. The Sat Asat, higher, lower and higher, higher and lower species of life, Janmasu, one takes birth repeatedly. When and why it happens? Because karana guna sangasya, because they associate with three modes of material nature. And why do they associate with three mode of material nature? Because they have a bhunte prakriti jan guna, they have a desire to enjoy the material world. By enjoying material world, this mentality to enjoy the material world is the cause, the root cause. This desire to enjoy material world, sense gratification, through sense gratification, is the root cause of all the problem. Because of this, you associate with modes of material nature. You perform activities in Rajoguna, Satvaguna, and Tamoguna, and as a result of these activities, you get a fruit, good, bad, and ugly. And to enjoy or suffer that fruit, you end up taking repeated births in this material world. Sat asat yoni janmasu. So if your fructified karma is bad, you go down in the to a lower species of life. If it is good, you go up in the higher species of life. If it is similar, you stay where you are. However, you stay within material world, repeatedly taking birth after birth after birth after birth, repeatedly trying to enjoy, do the same mistakes again and again. Again, very important instructions. We can reflect on this and and find out who are the leaders in the society, and do those leaders know the goal of life. Know the goal of life is to return back to Godhead, return back to our home and back to Godhead, and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. The great people whom who has lakhs and crores of followers on the social media, how many how many of those today know that this is the goal of life? And if we are attracted towards those people, if we somehow want to follow those people, then we fit this definition of blind leading blind. So they will fall into the ditch, we will follow them. We will also go and fall into the ditch sometime later. So again, a good verse to reflect what we do and how we should actually be doing things. Now, blind is a reference. There is a reference to the blindness. Bhagavad Gita has a beautiful verse which says that Vimudhana anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha. The one whose eyes are trained in knowledge, only they are the seers. And this is the reference in the 15th chapter that Krishna is explaining how how a soul is giving up one body and accepting another body. Now this activity is continuously going on. Sat asat yoni janma, so is continuously happening. Now this is our root cause. This is our fundamental problem, that we are forced into the forced into different bodies time and again, and we are forced into the womb of different mothers time and again. We are given different families, different parents, different siblings, different spouses, different children, different home, and we are repeatedly performing the same mistake. Angaraj Prabhuji made a reference that in the that piece comes in the third canto of Bhagavatam, where where prayers of a person in the womb, soul in the womb, how he pray. He if God, if he has mercy of Lord, he can remember up to 100 of his pastimes, past lifetimes. And imagine we can't remember what we ate yesterday, but if we are given remembrance of 100 past lifetimes, uh, how what will happen to you, what will be our condition? So we will remember all horrible colorful things that what we have done, as a result of which we are getting continuous sufferings. And like that, we actually have a span of millions and millions of lifetimes. It's not just about 100 lifetimes. And because of this, we've been taking birth after birth after birth after birth. And uh, Krishna says that a vimudha, a foolish person, cannot understand this, but the one who has eyes of knowledge, he can understand. And where does knowledge comes from? Knowledge comes from scriptures, by regulations of the scriptures. So one should refer to the scriptures. One does not get knowledge by sitting under a banyan tree today. No matter how long you sit there and do whatever you want to do, you will not learn knowledge. So you'll get knowledge when you refer to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. These are the sources of knowledge. So 32nd verse, another beautiful verse. Well, now Pradhan Maharaj is replying to the question that Hiranyakashipu has asked, that if these teachers have not taught you this, then who is taught? He is teaching you all these things. And Prahlad Maharaj is saying something significant. Now he's not giving a direct answer right here, that Narad Muni taught me this. He tell this to his friends later without they asking. But but here Prahlad Maharaj is again being a cheeky. Cheeky means being little naughty, and he says that he's giving a third reference, that this kind of a knowledge cannot be get. You can get this kind of a knowledge unless they without unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination. Persons very much inclined towards material life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of Lord, who is glorified by his for his uncommon activities. What he's saying is, a person in materialistic life, he cannot become attached to Krishna. So if we think we are not getting attached to Krishna, this is the solution Prahlad Maharaj is offering. If we think our attachment to Krishna is not sufficient, even if we don't visit temple, even if we don't see Radha Ras Bihari ji, despite of living in Mumbai, if we don't see Radha Ras Bihari ji for about a month, we feel okay. We feel it's okay. And we may check something we may see him picture on the Facebook or Instagram or whatever, some social media or WhatsApp. But if we don't see him face to face, we don't find anything unusual about it. We feel okay, which means our attachments are weak, extremely weak. There's practically no attachment with Lord. We are too much attached to other things. If we so then so this is where we are. So if we have a doubt, if you want to do a quick check, if are we sufficiently attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, and if not, what we should be doing, we should be doing what Prahlad Maharaj has told in the above paragraph, that we need to smear upon their bodies, upon our bodies, the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava who is completely freed from material contamination. Padarajo Abhisheka Nishkinchananam na vrinita yavat. So we'll go to the question, and in this particular verse, the what is implied by Prahlad Maharaj? Smearing our body with dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. And what he actually mean, and how it can be practiced in our life? Please raise hands. Is the question clear? Hopefully. Yeah. So the question is, what do you mean by smearing our body with the dust from lotus feet of a devotee, and how this can be practiced? What is implied here? Yes, Swapnil Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Rashmi Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, your question is smearing our body with the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees. Prabhuji, just now you discussed with us that yes, we have to like if we are connected with the pure devotees and we are in association with them. Once I attended lecture of one of the Prabhujis, and he gave an acronym of ABCD: association, book reading, then chanting, and the last one was devotional practice like this. So if we are in association with the devotees and if we are following their footsteps, definitely we are also going to be very much benefited with that, and definitely will go back to Godhead. And suppose if we are very much in contact with them, we are always following them, मतलब अगर प्रभु जी हम लोग उनको बिल्कुल ऐसा मान लें कि yes, they are our key who are going to take us back to Godhead, then definitely this and if we follow their instructions और उसके बाद उनके हर एक footsteps को follow करें, तो this is very important, and this will definitely change our life, because Kalyuga is being in practice और बहुत बुरी तरह से कलयुग बढ़ता जा रहा है. तो this is something which is going to save us. We are, जैसे बोलते हैं ना प्रभु जी, वो एक दावाग्नि टाइप की है जिसमें we are burning. तो if we follow the and these devotees, God's devotees, they are the ones who are going to give us shelter. They are going to protect us from this. So if we are under their shelter, under if they have protected us in their palms, if they are hugging us, they are giving us the right path, definitely this will benefit us, and this will take us to a different platform, and this will be beneficial for us. So I hope that this will this is from my side, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your comments, Mataji. So you covered a lot of points, but we'll still hear from someone. Sapnil Prabhu, you want to say something, add something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
It's a very beautiful explanation what has been given. I mean, for me per se, smearing our body with the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. We are like a child. If you see a child, if they love something and if we give them the chocolate, they'll smear their mouth with the chocolate because they eat that chocolate with such a fond affection. In the same way, what we should be doing is that we should a pure devotee who is such a divine personality, and so are his thoughts, what he shares with us, with and the devotion towards Krishna and being Krishna consciousness, that we should smear our body, our thoughts with the thoughts, pure thoughts of a devotee. Same thing like a small child smears the chocolate when he loves the chocolate. I mean, that is what my interpretation is. So how this can be practical? I think what we are doing right now, what all devotees are doing right now, we should practice it, in fact, in a more sincere way. And if we do that, probably it means that it's the same what the current sentence says, smearing our body with the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anamika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Smearing our body with the dust of lotus feet of the devotees, which I understand is basically means their being in the association of pure devotees, getting their blessings, following the path they are following. They this is what basically what I understand is the meaning of this phrase. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah, all are correct answers. And see, basically it's so one has to find out who's the pure devotee. The pure devotee was explained in the previous verse, that one who understands the purpose of human life is to go back to Godhead, and one who is practicing accordingly, one who is cultivating constant remembrance of Krishna, one who knows these things and doing activities according to this knowledge is a pure devotee, is a devotee basically. And for us, devotees are also sufficient. And smearing the our body with the dust, this is again a more of a rupak, or it's not literal that we have to take dust and then put it onto our head. We can do that when we meet sannyasis as well, when a lot of people do that, but it's basically following their instructions, because these devotees will come with instructions. Today what we are doing, Prahalad Maharaj will explain later where we are actually, and these devotees come and save us, because they tell us what you're doing is not sufficient and you should be doing more, and you should be doing more. And that way these devotees will tell us, wake us up from the slumber, or this deep sleep, that what we are sleeping in the lap of Maya Devi, and make us aware that what you're wasting your life. And we will see how we end up wasting our life as well in the subsequent verses spoken by Prahalad Maharaj. So thanks so much for this contribution. So there is one more question in this. We'll keep this for the last. Let's move forward. We want to hear what is the role of a devotee in our progress of bhakti. We'll keep that for later. Third question which we wanted to discuss is material contamination, but we all now understand that enjoying mentality and desire to enjoy and desire to own control, these are material contamination. This desire to enjoy itself is a material contamination which should be protecting ourselves upon with that. And for this protection, pure devotees help us. They come and constantly remind us that this world is not meant for our sense gratification. Let's move forward, and I will go to the presentation. Yeah, Padaj. He uses a very beautiful term, nishkinchananam. Nishkinchananam is a nishkincha, is a mahiyasa. Mahiyasa and nishkinchananam. These two words are for those Mahatmas or pure devotees, and he's referring to Narad Muni, who is ultimate spiritual master for so many so many devotees and son of Brahmaji. So, similar explanation came in instructions that were given by Jadabharata to King Rahuguna. Now, this pastime happened. It comes in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Bharat Maharaj, Rishabdev's elder son, is Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj is able king, and he ruled the whole planet for 11 करोड़ साल तक उन्होंने राज्य किया, and he was still very young, and he left everything as if one leaves the stool behind in the morning. Like that, he left his whole kingdom behind, all his family, his children, his wives, his opulence, his power, his friends, and so many dear things that we want to accumulate in one's life. He left it all and went to the forest for performing austerities and penance, and to devote himself to the Krishna consciousness at very young age. He was very young, and while spending his years time in forest, worshipping God and developing a lot of symptoms of ecstasy while doing this, he happened to see a small baby deer. He saved him from getting drowned in the river, and then got attached to that deer. And he would, instead of remembering Krishna, he would always remember the deer. And eventually he left his body remembering deer and got a body of deer. In this body, he remembered his past life and what mistake he made. He understood that, and then he tried taking association of sages. As a deer, he would go and stand outside the hermitage of sages where Vedic hymns would be chant, and that's how he tried taking association of Krishna and devotees, and he gave up that body. And then third body he got is that of Jadabharat in a brahmanical house, as a brahmana in Bharat Varsha. And right from beginning, he remembered both his previous births as a Bharat Maharaj and also as deer. Now he didn't wanted to go for, so he acted like a dumb man, and he would not learn any Brahmanical culture. He would not do any activity. Whatever you gave him, he would eat, and constantly he would continue to meditate on the Lord. King Rahuguna engaged him in carrying the palanquin. The four people were carrying palanquin, and he was also taken. And he would walk. While walking, he was avoiding stepping on to the ants and small insects. So he was not walking properly. So Rahuguna chastises him, speaks a lot of wrong things, and then he starts speaking philosophy, and then he understands that he's not an ordinary person, and he falls at his feet, and he starts taking instructions from Jadabharata. So this is the beautiful pastime which will come in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Here Rahuna is been instructed that unless one has the opportunity to, he gives similar instruction to him that unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. And what all one may try, he gives that in the subsequent paragraph. So you may try to realize the absolute truth, who Krishna is, what is my relationship with him, and how I can go back to Krishna. Now, this knowledge one cannot get by celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following rules and regulations of householder life. No, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyasa, or undergoing severe penances in winter by undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water, or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and and the scorching heat of the sun. So how can you realize the goal of life, and how one can achieve that goal of life? You cannot do that by any of these processes which are given in the second paragraph. You can only get that knowledge when you associate with a pure devotee, when you serve a pure devotee, when you take instructions from a pure devotee. Then the one who has attained this mercy, the only one, there are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. I'll be sharing these slides. Please read these beautiful instructions and meditate and try to see where are we and how we can progress. There is a lot been packed in these beautiful verses than all what we can discuss and reveal to each other. But there is a lot that we can learn out of it. Text 13, Jadabharata says that he answered the question, who are the pure devotees mentioned here? In an assembly of pure devotees, he gives symptoms of pure devotees, and Rupa Goswami gives similar symptoms of pure devotees in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where he describes that pure devotees will do these 9 things. It's not necessarily that they will go in front of deity and fall unconscious or start crying, start shedding tears. Now that can happen, but that can be faked also in today's material world. So one has to be very careful in understanding who the pure devotee is, so that we can repose our faith on him and act according to his instructions. We can take his instructions. So Bharat Maharaj says that in the assembly of pure devotee, what happens? There is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. In an assembly of pure devotees, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such topics respectfully, even a person who wants to merge in the existence of the absolute truth abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the to the lotus feet of the Supreme God. Then how to take this association? Now the question can be how to take this association. So now I'll just do full screen. Yeah. Jadabharata instructions continues that simply by associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut into pieces the illusory association with this material world, within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam. Vishnu Smaranam. Shravanam Kirtanam will lead to Vishnu Smaranam. Shravanam is hearing, hearing Krishna Katha, hearing Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam is chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Japa in the morning, Sankirtan in the all throughout the day. Reading books also comes as Shravanam Kirtanam, because you're associating with Prabhupada. Prabhupada books is reading Prabhupada book is like associating with Prabhupada. Prabhupada as if he's talking to you. So it's both Shravanam and Kirtanam both. And that way cultivating constant remembrance of Krishna, so that antakalecha mam evam smaran muktva kalevaram, we can remember Krishna alone at the moment of our death. And because we have remembered him, throughout our life. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Now, all these things are possible when our Shravanam Kirtanam is strong. The Vishnu Smaranam is possible only when our Shravanam Kirtanam is proper and very, very strongly done. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home back to Godhead even in this life. Very beautiful instructions by Bharat Maharaj. Shri Prahalad Uvacha. We're coming to the next section of of these instructions. Now, this conversation between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada didn't go very well, but somehow they couldn't kill him. They couldn't kill him, and then they said, let's continue. Let his education continue. Shukracharya will return soon, and then we can take a decision. He can probably speak with Prahlad. He can probably guide him more, and hopefully he will be able to convert him into a demon. Right now he's seems too godly, talking something that we also don't know, don't understand, and they left him back into the Gurukul. And when these teachers were not there, um, Prahlad Maharaj took that opportunity to do what acharyas do. They don't become devotees, good devotees, great devotees just by themselves. They may want to make the whole world dance and dance in the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prahlad Maharaj wants to do the same. He wants to give Krishna consciousness to his friends, and this is where the class begins in his pathshala when the other teachers were not around. And we'll again go through some beautiful verses. Prahlad Maharaj says that one who is sufficiently intelligent. Now, this is conversation with his friends. He's sitting in the Gurukul and they inquire from him, and in response to which he's speaking that one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Kaumar acharat acharet pradnyo dharman bhagavata nahiha bhagavata durlabham manusham janmam tadapyab dhruvam arthadam. Prahlad Maharaj used this term here, Durlabham Manusham Janmam. Now, let's discuss what is the importance of human form of life and what is expected from humans and what are they expected to do with this special form. Why this is so special? Durlabham Manusham Janmam. We see this term being used in many songs, Vaishnava bhajans also. Bhajahure mana Shri Nanda Nandana. In that also, Durlabha Manusha Janama Satsange Taraha E Bhava Sindhure. The Vaishnava Acharya says that Durlabha Manusha Janama Satsange Taraha E Bhava Sindhure. This Bhava Sindhu se aap तैर जाओगे कैसे? If you do satsange, satsanga, संतों का संग करने से. Why? Because Durlabham Manusha Janma. So again, this is a similar concept. So what is the importance of human form of life? Why it is considered to be so significant? And what do you mean by human form of life? First of all, what do you mean by human form of life and why it is so special? And what are we expected to do with this special form?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Mataji.
प्रभु जी हम जो ह्यूमंस होते हैं लाइक हम सारे जो सोशल एनिमल्स हैं, जैसे कि डॉग हो गए, एनिमल्स हो गए, उन सब के पास भी लाइफ है, बट हमारे पास एक और चीज है, वो है इंटेलिजेंस, और जिसे हम भक्ति कर सकते हैं। ओके, एक ऐसा चीज है जो हमें सेपरेट करता है बाकी सारे जीव जंतु से या बाकी सारे एनिमल से। तो ये हमें इसीलिए, बुद्धि जो सबसे ऊपर है, ये हमें इसीलिए, एवरीबडी, ऑल द रेस्ट अदर पीपल, दे डू एवरीथिंग एज ह्यूमन डू, जैसे कि वो दे स्लीप, दे ईट, दे मेट, but humans have been given the only intelligence to perform bhakti or to perform service to the god. I think this is one of the reasons where human life is durlabh. The life of human is durlabh. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Anuradha Mataji, I think you had your hand raised, and then Anamika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Krishna Mataji covered the point.
Okay, Anamika Mataji, you want to contribute anything?
The same thing, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else wants to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Prabhuji, human form of life comes after 8 lakh species. So we have to go from so many lower class species, then we get human form. And the only difference between man and animals is the intelligence. We have intelligence. And in this life, when the intelligence comes, we should identify what is wrong and what is right for the human form. And we should cultivate Krishna consciousness and go back to Godhead.
Yeah, so intelligence, I think I heard intelligence a couple of times, but I believe even animals show a lot of intelligence. The way they hunt, the way they feed their babies, the way they take care of their children. So even animals show a lot of intelligence. So it's outrightly, if we say that animals don't have intelligence, I think that's not true. A bird will create his nest in such a, which is engineering marvel. They are all called engineering marvels. So they do have a lot of intelligence, but there is still something that separate humans, and human form is still considered to be very, very special. So Nupur Mataji, followed by Kritika Mataji, and then Angaraj Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, there is one verse in Mahabharata in this regard. It says, Ahara Nidra Bhayamaitmanam cha Samanya Metat Pashubhir Naranam Dharmohi Tesham Adhiko Vishesha Dharmahina Pashubhi Narana. So it is mentioned over here that 4 things are common in both, in animals and in humans, that ahara, eating, nidra, sleeping, bhaya, that is defending, and maitunam, that is mating. And but one thing which separates humans from animals is that they have got the opportunity to understand and do religious activities and spiritual activities to elevate themselves on the spiritual platform, to elevate their consciousness. And if one doesn't do that, then their life is same as animal life. So
yeah, thanks. That's nice. But why will I follow a scripture? Why will I feel the need to go to dharma? Dharma comes from the scripture. So what is why, by doing these 4 activities, my whole lifetime can go? So when will I search for dharma? Now I agree that dharma separates humans and animals, that dharma vinahi pashuhi samana. But why will I feel the need to go for dharma, search for dharma? Yes, Kritika Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, when our desires they don't get fulfilled, then there comes irritation and anger and sorrow, distress. So we try to find out what is the meaning of our life. So that curiosity is there in humans about their life. I think that is.
Okay. So you're saying basically humans can ask questions that why am I suffering? So if you have seen Animal Life, Animal Planet sufficiently, probably you will. There were videos where a lion gets old and he's unable to chase his prey, and the deer just easily runs away from him, and then not only runs away, he comes back and start teasing this lion, this old lion, that he's saying that you can't, even if you want, you can't come and catch me and kill me and eat me, because you're old and you can't run faster, and no, I'm young. So this lion is suffering in the African jungle. Cannot he cannot eat, grass, he cannot eat grass foods. So he's suffering and he at times die out of hunger, but he's unable to ask question that why am I suffering. He's not able to question his horrible state. A, 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 a pig very happily relishes on the garbage, a heap of garbage. He goes there and eat, and he looks extremely delighted, extremely happy. He's unable to question that why am I miserable, why my life is miserable. Instead, if you'll see him, he's relishing. He's got so much eatable stuff available in that heap of garbage. He's searching this, searching that, putting his mouth into practically everything, and he's licking things which are abominable. So he's very happy. He's unable to raise a question that why am I suffering. So this ability to ask questions, that leads us to the inquiry about the dharma, that why am I suffering. So when Sanatan Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his first meeting, he asked this, Ke ami, and who am I and why am I suffering. Now he was working as a minister, as if he was a prime minister in the for this Nawab Shah. So he was living a very opulent life, but he understood that his life is not complete. He is suffering, and he's asked that question to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that why am I suffering. Now it is very important to understand our suffering condition and then ask a question, and this ability to ask questions is only available with humans. So this is the differentiator between a human and what is what is human life. Is human life within human body, is human form of life. Manusha Janma is when soul enters, soul is given a human form of body till such time soul leaves that body. So the period between these two is called Manusha Janma. So this Manusha Janma has to be utilized very properly. The body is very important, because the same body we will be used for performing devotional service. Same body will be used for experiencing spiritual joy in performing of devotional service, and same senses will be used in in increase in experiencing spiritual happiness, and that way increasing our attraction towards Krishna. Same senses will be used in reading scripture, same senses will be used in performing devotional service to the devotees. So this body needs to be properly maintained, because when the service opportunities will come, and if our body is weak or if it is sick, we will lose out. And so hence one need not pamper one's body, but one has to give due importance to the health of the body. So this, as long as the soul is occupying this body, soul has opportunity to perform devotional service. So hence body is not at all unimportant. Body plays a very important, it's a tool, it's like a machine given to us, and we must maintain our machine to the best of our capacity. We can't neglect our machine and hope that we will win the war. We can't neglect our gun and hope that it will fire on the battlefield automatically and then we will win the war. No, our bodies need to be taken care of. We can't be, Prabhupada used to say, he doesn't like fat disciples. And he himself took great care of his health. He used to regularly go for morning walks. He used to be he took great care, very diligently, great care of his health. And apart from devotional service, health he gave extreme importance, and he insisted that his disciples also do the same. Now, you can't neglect health and hope to become useful to Krishna, because when the opportunity will come, you will be sick. You will not be able to accept those challenging opportunities for serving Krishna nicely. So what is the use of then human form of life? You may have desire to serve, but you don't have any capacity to serve because of the bodily limitation. So one has to maintain one's body also properly so that it can be engaged in devotional service. So this is Durlabham Manusham Janma. Yeah, we'll go back to the presentation. We will. It will be good if we can start. If you can raise hand and we can start reading some of these verses as well. Yeah. So we are on 7.6, 7th canto 6th chapter, second verse. The human form of life. The human form of life affords one a chance to return home, back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved and the master of the soul and the well-wisher of all other living entities. So Prahalad Maharaj is actually surprised that why everyone is not in love with Vishnu. So he's saying his love for Vishnu is it's very natural to love him, because he has so much love for us, and similarly we should love him back. So I'm surprised why Hiranyakashipu does not feel the same attraction and love for Vishnu, and why he hates Vishnu so much. So this is the reason. He's beloved, he's the most beloved, the master of the soul and well-wisher of all other living entities. So that's why we should all love Vishnu, we should all worship Vishnu, we should all be performing devotional services to Vishnu. It's not unnatural, it's very natural for us. So I'm surprised why it's not natural for you all, because he's he's beloved to me, he's beloved to you also. He loves you all as well. All of you are given facility to enjoy this material world by the mercy of Lord Vishnu. Whatever body, talent, skills, abilities, looks, power that we possess, it's everything comes from Vishnu. So we should all be naturally in love with Vishnu. Prahlad Maharaj says, continues in the third text. Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life according to the one's past creative activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just like we just as we obtain sorrow.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you're not audible.
Hare Krishna. Is this better?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sorry, I think muted myself. So so here's Pradhan Maharaj is again saying something significant, that the happiness is perceived with reference to Sanjay's senses. It can be obtained in any form of life. Pradhan Maharaj is saying that happiness and distress can be obtained in any form of life according to the one's past creative activities. So as per one's prarabdha, your happiness will be delivered to you, and as per your prarabdha or as per your destiny, the distress will also get delivered to you without endeavor. So one does not have to work hard for the same. So Prahalad Maharaj continues, text 4, endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result only in loss of time and energy with no actual profit. Endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed. So if you break our day, all of us are engaged in the householder life. So if you consider our day, if we all have 24-hour day, apart from 6-7 hours of sleep, probably 80-90% of the time is dedicated towards endeavors which Prahlad Maharaj don't want us to perform. So our lifetime should be the other way around. We should be performing devotional activities more, and maintenance of bodily necessities in the resultant time. But we are doing currently the inverse. We are doing maximum time, 80-90% time probably goes in economic development and sense gratification related active endeavors, and only maybe 10-20-25% time we spent on hearing and chanting. And that's why we often says that we have no time for reading, because our time is consumed by these activities, which Prahlad Maharaj says we should not be performing. If one's endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. Very practical, but very difficult to implement. No matter how much development that you may achieve, you may become whoever you wish to. Number one, the richest man on the planet, or the most, you get selected as the most beautiful person on the planet, or whatever, the most powerful person, the most strong body, or whatever that you may end up achieving. That knowledge becomes zero once you give up this body and acquire new body. You have to start from all over again. So it is no benefit. It helps, maybe it helps you, takes care of your necessities, but these endeavors are in far more greater quantity than just taking care of your necessities. So they are useless. Prahlad Maharaj is saying they are useless and one should not be performing those. A similar pastime comes, similar instruction comes when active in the speech given by Rishabh Dev to his 100 sons. This comes in the 5th canto again, when Rishabh Dev is Krishna's incarnation, himself, Krishna himself. So Bharat Maharaj is his eldest son, and once he called all his sons and gave them a speech, address before handing over kingdom to his sons and leaving for leaving for the accepting Vanaprastha. So Rishabh Dev is telling his sons that one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should not simply work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even to stool eaters, hot dogs and hogs. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of the devotional service. To attain devotional service, one should perform penance and austerity. So human life is meant for performing some austerity, performing some penances, not for sense gratification, not for enjoyment. So except for scriptures, this information is only not available anywhere else. No matter, you may be having 300-400 channels on your television, but none of them will teach you this. Not one channel will give you this information. And hence we should associate with scriptures, hence we should associate with Bhagavad Gita, hence we should take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and those we should associate with those who speak from Bhagavatam, who speak from Bhagavad Gita, who encourage us to read Bhagavad Gita, because that is where the real nectar is available. One should so by such activities, one should engage in penance and austerities to attain devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. In the spiritual world, the happiness is eternal happiness, and that continues forever. Similar verse comes in Bhagavad Gita, the fifth chapter, 22nd verse and 23rd verse, that yehi samsparshaja bhogan dukha yonaya evate. Anything, anybody who's trying to enjoy by the touch, samsparshaja bhogan, any sense enjoyment which one is one wants to enjoy by contacting senses and sense object. By this contact, if anybody is trying to enjoy anything, any such desire to enjoy is impregnated with misery. Misery is, it's impregnated with misery. The misery will come eventually. And you take any activity, the eating, eventually one may be fond of eating, eventually the digestion only will go away, and then the desire to eat will continue, but there will be no digestion, so it will give a lot of misery. Seeing wrong things, we may even lose our sight. Our eyes will become weaker, and eventually we'll lose our sight. So all the all these activities of sense pleasure are impregnated with misery, and which will come eventually. And why? Because adya antavanta kanteya nautaishuramote buddha. It has a beginning and it has an end, and therefore wise people don't delight in them. Then what do those wise people do? They do what is given in 23rd verse, that before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses, so urges will come, material senses will demand sense gratification, because that is what they have done life after life. They are used to this. We have our mind, we carry the same mind from our previous births. And in the previous births, when we didn't had any knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, we were purely in acting at a bodily level, just like cats and dogs and hogs. So when we want to eat, we were eating. When we want to drink, we were drinking. There was no consideration that Monday is Ekadashi, 15th May is Ekadashi, so we should not be eating grains. So we should be fasting. We should perform some additional austerity. We should do some additional rounds. We should read something more, and we should try to learn something. We should spend more time in reading. We should spend more time in, um, you know, um, chanting and visiting temple, visiting, taking darshan of Lord on this auspicious Ekadashi day, meeting devotees on this auspicious Ekadashi day. If one is not doing this, this is the sense, the mind will demand sense gratification, but one has to tolerate and control, regulate the urges of material senses and check the forces of desire and anger, because as you will try to suppress or deny those sense gratification to the mind, it will lead to anger, and one has to tolerate that as well. One should check the force of desire and anger. He is well situated, only this person is well situated in the material world and is happy in this world. Everybody else is unhappy. And one can do these activities only one has proper knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. One does not have to suppress one's desire. One has to engage one's desire for some higher purpose. That higher purpose one gets from scriptures. Prahalad Maharaj continues, every human being has a maximum duration of life. Here, Prahalad Maharaj beautifully sum up our life in of 100 years. Assume it to be a 100 years. So he says, मुग्धस्य बाल्ये किशोरै क्रीडतो यति विशातहि जरया ग्रतदेहस्य यत्य कल्प्यस्य विशतिहि. That every human being has a maximum duration of life of about 100 years, but for one who cannot control his senses, half of those years are completely lost, because at night he sleeps 12 hours being covered by ignorance. Therefore such a person lifetime is only 50 years. Balance. Text 7. In the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years. Similarly, in boyhood, engage in sporting and playing, one passes another 10 years. So 50 gone, 10, 10, 20 gone. And towards Jara, when one become old, similarly, when one is old, one is an invalid, unable to perform even basic material activities, and one passes another 20 years wastefully. So balance 50, out of balance 50, 40 are gone. 10, 10 is Balya and Kishora, and 20 life, 20 years goes wasted in Jara, in taking care from 80 to 100. Will have very poor ability to do anything. If we eat, we can't digest, we can't pass stool. If we can't walk, we can't see, we can't hear, we can't see this sensation, and that in such in such horrible state we end up spending last 20 years of life. And we are left with 10 years. Let's see what we do though with those 10 years. One whose mind and senses are uncontrolled becomes increasingly attached to the family life, and basically 7, yeah, where we basically get attached to the family life because of unsatiable lusty desires and very strong religion. In such madman's life, the remaining years are also wasted, because even during those years one cannot engage himself in devotional service. So goal of human life is to escape from the, is to go back to Godhead, go back to Krishna. And that is possible by remembering Krishna at the moment of our death. Antakalicha mamevam. And we can remember Krishna at the moment of our death only if we have remembered him throughout our life. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyaja. And Ananya chetaha satata yomam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasa yoginam. So it is those who are endeavoring to remember me, Ananya chetaha satatam, without any deviation, satatam, always, who is trying to remember him. For them, devotional service is very easy. And then tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mam upayantite. That tesham sata yena mam upayantite, uh, by which these people can come to me, these souls can come to me, by which they can come to me. Yena mam upayantite dadami buddhi yogam tvam. I give them special intelligence by which they can come back to me. So the goal of life is going back to Krishna. And for that, we have to remember Krishna lovingly. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. We have to remember Krishna lovingly. And if we have to do this, this is our goal of life. And what we do, we spend 20 years in childhood, 20 years in old age, 50 years in sleeping. Sleeping also includes watching TV, watching movies, watching sports. All those are different forms of sleeping, where one is detached from, one is like living one dream and entering into another dream, want to forget our present miserable condition. So this is what if we are doing, and the 10 years which are left are, they go in, they also get wasted, and then we are left with no time for performing bhakti. So Prahalad Maharaj tell us why it is impossible for a person to perform bhakti in a grahastha ashram. So it text 9, what person too attached to household life due to being unable to control his senses can liberate himself. And attached householder is bound very strongly by the ropes of affection for his family, wife, children, and other relatives. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in the household life? Thieves, professionals, servants, soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear very life. um, Prahlad Maharaj goes on explaining the household life. Now he's explaining the household life, what is the condition of a householder. Text 11, 12, and 13 are combined. Prabhat gives the translation. How a person who is most affectionate to his family can care for his heart, from the core of his heart being always filled with their pictures, they give up their association. Prahlad Maharaj is asking, Prahlad Maharaj is age 5. At the age of 5, he's speaking with his friends, and he's speaking such phenomenal knowledge, such deep knowledge. Now he's asking a question. These are all translation. These are not even purports. So these are exact words spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, translated as it is by Srila Prabhupada. Prahlad Maharaj is saying that how can a person who is most affectionate to his family, the core of his heart being always filled with their pictures, give up their association? Specifically, now he talks about wife, what role wife plays in man's life. Specifically, a wife is always very dear and sympathetic, and always pleases her husband in a solitary place. Who could give up association of such a dear and affectionate wife? Small children talk in broken language, very pleasing to hear, their affectionate father always think of their sweet words. How could he give up their association? One's elderly parents and one's sons and daughters are also very dear. A daughter is especially dear to her father, and while living at her husband's house, she is always in his mind. Who could give up that association? Aside from this, in household affairs, there are many decorated items of household furniture, and there are also animals and servants. Who could give up such comforts? Prahlad Maharaj is saying that simply for the satisfaction of two important senses, the genital and the tongue, one is bound in the material life. The genital and the tongue gives nourishment, and genitals give sex enjoyment. And for these two thing, a man accept householder life, which is filled with attachments, which is filled with ropes of attachments, which are extremely very difficult to give up. And that makes it practically impossible for a attached householder to perform bhakti, perform any penances and perform any austerity. He will do any austerity for the maintenance of his family, but he will have no time to perform austerities for the pleasure of Krishna, for developing Krishna consciousness, for cultivating remembrance of Krishna, which is going to be helpful to him at the moment of his death. None of those family members, the wife, the children, the parents, the daughters, the sons, neighbors, friends, none of them will be able to help him when he's about to give up his body. If he has not remembered Krishna during one's life, he will not be able to remember Krishna at the moment of death, and hence he will take repeated birth. So that way he will end up wasting Durlabha Manusha Janama, because has no time. He's left with no time to take satsanga and perform devotional service. Text 14. One who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He also fails to understand that purpose of human life, suitable for realization of the absolute truth, is being imperceptibly spoiled. Same points come. However, he is cleverly attentive to seeing that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffer from threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. He does not develop a distaste, and he actually lives like that of an animal. Just like a hog who is enjoying, relishing heap of garbage, does not develop any distaste. He feels very happy. He feels very similarly, a attached householder does not develop any distaste for the way of material existence, and is not willing to give up his this attached life um, and take up to the devotional service. He's unable to hear to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. He's not available. He has no time for learning Bhagavad Gita, for becoming Krishna consciousness. Even if anybody wants to teach him, give him Krishna consciousness, he has no time for that. Text 27. Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the well-wisher and friend of all living entities, formerly explained this transcendental knowledge to this great saint Narada. So now here, Prahalad Maharaj is revealing that how did he learn this knowledge? He said Narayan gave this knowledge to great saint Narada. Such knowledge is extremely difficult to understand without the mercy of a saintly person like Narad Muni. And everyone who has taken shelter of Narada's disciplic succession can understand this confidential knowledge. Fortunately, we all have taken shelter of succession of Narad Muni. And Narad Muni comes in our, if you open the Bhagavad Gita and you see the disciplic succession which goes right up to Lord Krishna, we have Narad, after Brahmaji, Narad Muni is there in our disciplic succession. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and subsequent Acharyas up to Prabhupada, who has given it all to us. So we are fortunate to be in the same sampradaya, which where great Brahmaji is part of it, great Narad Muni is part of it, and which goes right up to Lord Krishna. So hence we should value what we have, and we should practice bhakti with all sincerity. Next verse, Prahalad Maharaj says that, Prahalad Maharaj continues, I received this knowledge from great saint Narada, Narad Muni, who is always engaged in devotional service. This knowledge, which is called Bhagavata Dharma, is fully scientific. It is based on logic and philosophy and is free from all material contamination. Prahalad Maharaj, again, there is a confrontation between, this is last confrontation which happens between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, where he says that, you rascal, you know that when I'm angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? And to which Prahlad Maharaj says that, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, actually is the same source which is the source of your strength. So you are getting your strength from Brahmaji, and the source from where I am deriving my strength is also the source of Brahmaji's strength. So Brahmaji also get his strength from the same Lord Narayana, same Lord Krishna, from who is now giving me the strength. Another very cheeky answer just to intimidate him. Without him, no one can get any strength. And whether moving or not moving, superior, inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme controller and time factor, is the power of the senses, power of the mind, power of the body, and power of the vital force of the senses. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities and controller of the three modes of material nature. By his power, he creates this cosmic manifestation, maintains it, and annihilates it also. Shri Prahalad Maharaj continues, text 9, my dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised towards everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. Very significant instructions for all of us. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world, and we live with our enemy 24/7. So when the morning alarm goes on, our mind tell us sleep, and we hit the snooze button and go back to sleep. So this is uncontrolled and misguided mind. Except for this, there is no enemy. So we live with our biggest enemy in this whole world, and we let that enemy conquer us every now and then. rather than we conquering them. At times we surrender to this enemy and try to do as they please. Whatever they want us to do, we do. We regret at times later, but at the moment when we are doing things, we don't feel bad about it. So such is the influence of this mind, uncontrolled and misguided mind. So when one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one comes to the position of worshipping the Lord. From here onwards, we are on top of our. So from here onwards, there are beautiful instructions. There are the beautiful prayers by Prahalad Maharaj, spoken with when Narsimhadev appears. This from here onwards, the scene changes. He smashes the pillar. Narsimhadev comes out of that pillar and he kills Hiranyakashipu. He fights with him, kills him, fulfilling all his conditions, and then the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj begins, which he offers to Lord Narsimhadev. And we have covered those prayers subsequent slides, which I don't intend to cover today because again that will take long time. We have about 15 minutes left. We will discuss one more question now, and then we will take any question answers. We'll discuss these two questions, and the third question is your homework. One homework we had given last Sunday, and one homework we will give today. That we'll have to list out the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, different qualities, giving examples from this pastime. That is homework for all. But uh, let's discuss this particular question: that why is Prahlad Maharaj giving tricky answers to like almost provocative answers, provocative responses, which angers Hiranyakashipu more? And um, could he have said something in a very simple way which would not have angered? His father is already angry. All his responses, if you'll see, in the first time when this conversation broke, he says, Graha anda kupam, you should go to forest. What are you doing here in the grahastha ashram? You shouldn't be staying here. Graha anda kupam. Then he says, Puna punash charvita charvananam, you are chewing the chewed, already been chewed. So again, that's not very pleasing answer that a son one expect from son. And finally, he gives the answer that the source of your power, my source of my power, strength is the source of the source of your strength also, and which understand that which tells Hiranyakashipu indirectly that you are no more powerful. You have no power at all, because I'm getting the sense, I'm getting the strength from the same source which has given source to Brahmaji, from whom you have obtained your power. So you are third in line, I am second in line, so I am better off than you. So why these, one may find these answers to be very very tricky, very annoying, isn't it? Anybody wants to comment why Prahlad Maharaj is giving this kind of answers? It's not a very, it can be a very generic answer. Please feel free. Don't worry about right, wrong. Yes, Nupur.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, Prahlad Maharaj, we can see here that Prahlad Maharaj is not more, he's no more on the bodily platform. From the day he was born, he got an association, even in his mother's womb, he got association of Naradji. So he had a very strong backup of spiritual strength, and because of that, he was fearless from the very beginning of his life. Even in his mother's womb, he used to hear Harikatha, and because of that, he developed strong faith. And actually, I had heard in His Grace Ramro Prabhuji's lecture that Prahlad Maharaj's pastime teaches us the faith, how faithful, how can one develop their faith, and I think strong faith is the learning from Prahlad Maharaj's pastime. So we can see that Prahlad Maharaj has a lot of faith in Krishna, and because he's not on the bodily platform and his father is on bodily platform, he is trying to educate him, and trying to tell him that you should not think on the bodily platform, you should rise
above the bodily platform, arise your consciousness. And he is speaking out of love for his father. That's what I think.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Sabdin Prabhuji, yes, you can unmute and speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think Prabhuji Prahalad Maharaj, very innocence, the age in which he has taken the education and association of devotees. I think uh, although his innocence is there, but at the same time, his cheeky answer is to provoke Hiranyakashipu to ask or again ask Prahlad that why he is asking such questions, and he wanted to instigate Hiranyakashipu and he wanted to prove that Vishnu Bhagwan prevails in each and every form, and that's why he purposely made cheeky answers, responses to Hiranyakashipu to provoke it, Hiranyakashipu. That was his intention, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. uh, so I think it's answer given by Nupur Mataji was on the correct side. When we do this kind of when we give this kind of answers in our day-to-day life, we may actually have those intents. But but when Prahlad Maharaj is a sadhu, and as duty of sadhu is to cut the attachment of the so what I think Vikas Prabhuji just typed. So and Nupur Maharaj Mataji actually explained it very beautifully. He's speaking out of love for his father, the same compassion that you have for other living entities who are functioning purely at a bodily level. The same love and affection that Prabhupada had for the people of America who were completely engrossed in the tamo and rajoguna, and Prabhupada wanted to save them. Now, for saving them, he risked his life. He came from all the way from, he got out of Vrindavan, where people go to Vrindavan to give up their bodies, because then your going back to Godhead is guaranteed. Do bhajan and give up your body eventually, and you go back to Godhead. But Prabhupada said, this is not the mission of my life. My mission of life is to spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world. That's the instruction that I have been given. So for that, Western world is where the tamoguna and rajoguna is most prevalent. There's no satoguna as well, practically. And out of compassion for those living entities, Prabhupada got out of Vrindavan and went all over, all the way to New York City, which is the capital of Tamoguna. So, so this is done only out of compassion, only out of love, and not and there this distinction which Mataji brought up also was very significantly important, that one is completely at a bodily level, Hiranyakashipu, and Prahlad Maharaj, who is completely at a spiritual level. So when he's not supposed to speak, or he's not supposed to speak things which will be only pleasing to the ears of the materialistic man. That's why when we take sadhu sangha, at times we hear some harsh sentences, because the whole purpose is to cut down the attachments, cut down on the attachments that we, a materialistic man, has with his family. So those, again, it doesn't mean not doing your duties towards your family, but unless one become free from the attachment of our family, one cannot get attached to Krishna. So this family, current family, what we've got, and last family, we've got another family, another set of family. In the birth prior, we had another set of family, and birth prior, when we were in probably animal life, there we had another set of families. So this will continue. This is chewing the chewed. We've done the same. We've protected family and got another birth. Now that is not helping. That is not helping us escape from the cycle of birth. That is not stopping our cycle of birth. Now we might not have done any harm to anyone, which is also okay. However, that is only give you birth in a better human conditions, where you can enjoy the material life in a more sophisticated way. for more duration of life. So just increase the quality and quantity of your sense gratification. Doesn't really help you in any way. So Prahlad Maharaj's answers are educative, if to the least, and they are beneficial to Hiranyakashipu. And they are not pleasant because that's how a sadhu is supposed to speak. He's supposed to speak the truth. Now he's speaking in a very palatable way, and he's presenting it in his capacity, and he's facing the consequences. After the second reply, Prahlad went through a huge torture where Hiranyakashipu's soldiers, they tried killing him using various means, and he was fearless. And that Hiranyakashipu could also see. The sun god, the sun fears him, the Indra fears him, and this small boy has no fear of him. And that's what was worrying factor of Hiranyakashipu. And so Prahlad's responses are that of a sadhu who will always speak for the benefit of the entangled living entity. Entangled living entity. And this is sadhu sangha. He is giving sadhu sangha to Hiranyakashipu. This is what happens when we associate with sadhus. When when we associate with sadhus, we just don't say nice words and don't exchange nice smiles and nice words. How are you? And I'm fine, you are fine. And sadhu will, it's not that they will not do this, but they will go beyond this. And they will ask you, are you chanting? Are you getting up? What time are you getting up? No, Proji, I come home late. I work 16 hours a day, and then I sleep at 1 p.m. 1 a.m. every night. So I get up at 8 a.m. every night, every morning. So I have no time for chanting. I have no time for reading. I have to maintain my family. I have to send my kids to America. I have to take crores of rupees of loan, and then I keep repaying them, and my whole lifetime goes, and then I have no time for Krishna. How will I remember Krishna? Who will remember Krishna? Who will perform Shravanam Kirtanam? Who has time for doing all this thing? So maybe at the end of my life, I will try and do it. And that time also goes on. And one comes back with a new body and does the same thing over and over again and again. That's chewing the chewed again and again. So very powerful instructions by a 5-year-old Prahlad Maharaj to his father, who is most powerful person in the universe. So these are educative instructions and not provocative instructions in the material sense. We'll go to chat box to see if there are any comments. Okay, last question, important one. This is the question with which we started our discussion. Is Lord Krishna equal or partial? And explain how. Please, everyone, raise your hand and start answering. We can hear all of you, all 43 comments we can hear. We have time for that. Because the last question is homework. I'll send that on the groups. Please feel free to do that at your own pace. But is God equal or partial, and how? Deepak Prabhuji and Vaishnavi, followed by.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, God is actually equal to everyone, but as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita in one of the chapters, I don't remember the exact chapter, in which he says that the one who is in complete absorption of me in the devotional service, he is very, very dear to me. So this is my answer for the question.
So is he equal or is he partial? Which side you will take?
I can't say it's partial, but then he has mentioned that the devotee is dear to me. So all the devotees are dear to him, more in absorption of him.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My answer was same as Prabhuji said.
I just want one word answer: equal or partial,
Actually,
or something else.
he
You can say
reciprocates
something
accordingly.
else. Reciprocal. Okay. Payal Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think Krishna is definitely equal, not at all partial, because obviously, yes, he reciprocates, as just Vaishnavi Mataji just said, he reciprocates. And I think in the entire universe, of course, he's the supreme personality of Godhead. No one else can ever be, reciprocate even a single small service done for him. It comes back to you in form of so much mercy from Lord Krishna. So I would say definitely equal. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Equal. Okay. Swapnil Prabhuji and then Nupur Mataji.
Prabhuji, I actually, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I raise hand for the previous one.
I will come back to then later.
Yeah.
Nupur Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, Krishna says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tam sthitaiva bhajamyam. So Krishna is reciprocative, and if we surrender 50%, then he will give mercy 50%. So Krishna acts accordingly. So I think he is equal to all. But if we are sweet, if he is the Lord of sweetness, if we do sweet things for him, if we please him, then he will be pleased and he will reciprocate accordingly. And if there are atheists who want to forget Krishna, he will help them forget him. So that is actually being equal to everyone.
Okay, that way he's equal. Okay, he's equally reciprocal. Okay, that's nice. Anamika Mataji, Angarash Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I definitely think Krishna is equal to everyone, because as he says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, means every religion people, he doesn't distinguish in any religion, any person, everyone is welcome under his shelter. So this makes me think that he is always equal to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Divisha, you had raised your hand. It could be a repetition, that's fine.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I feel Krishna is equal, but he is also partial. He is equal, like Nupur Mataji said, but he is partial with his devotees. And as yesterday Narodam Prabhuji said that he is Bhakta Vatsal. He does anything for his devotees. So that he might not do for any other ordinary person. So that he's equal, but he's also partial to his devotees, I feel.
Okay, so he's equal, but he's partial to his devotees. Anyone wants to reiterate anything that anybody previous speakers said, or that's also fine. No need for new answers, that's fine. Because we have 2-3 choices. We have equal, we have partial, and then we have reciprocal. Lakshmikant Prabhuji. What's your take? I'm just picking names. Don't. It's okay if you don't want to say. So I think a lot of answers have come, and I will not get into all of those. But to summarize this whole beautiful pastime, and so what we understand that Krishna is equal to everyone. He's equal to everyone in giving opportunities of becoming his devotee. He does not differentiate in that. You be of any caste, creed, community, country, educated, non-educated, poor, rich, whatever, male, female. He gives equal opportunity to everyone to become his devotee. And anyone who wish to become his devotee, he becomes partial, reciprocal with them. The moment as they surrender, he reciprocates with them. So to the extent of giving opportunity, there's no qualification of becoming. So the Krishna does not keep any qualification for anyone to become his devotee. There is no basic qualification required. Anyone and everyone can choose to become his devotee if they so desire to. So to that extent, he is equal. And once you choose to become Krishna's devotee, as you surrender, he can reciprocate with you. If you surrender 100%, he will reciprocate 100% with you. Just as the case was with Prahalad Maharaj, that he was fully dependent on Krishna, and Krishna was fully protecting Prahalad Maharaj. So there was no he just like Gopa friends, they who are walking into the mouth of Aghasur. They knew he's Aghasur, and he said, if even if he's Aghasur, it doesn't matter. Krishna will protect. So Krishna is equal in giving opportunity to everyone to become his devotee, and then whoever chooses to become his devotee, Krishna is reciprocal with them. To the extent that they can surrender to him, he reciprocates with them. So to that extent, he is reciprocal. So both to Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, both of them got opportunity to sit on his lap. He offered his lap to both of them. Hiranyakashipu also was taken on the lap before he was before the surgery of his stomach was performed. And later, Prahlad Maharaj was also taken on his lap, and there was a beautiful interaction that happened, which is captured in subsequent slides, which we couldn't cover today, but you can all read through those slides. Subsequent beautiful prayers were offered by Prahlad to Lord Nrsimhadev, and Nrsimhadev becomes very pleased with him. Then that goes on. He says, "You asked for something," and he says, "No, I don't want. I'm." He says a beautiful word called Vani. I'm not a Vani. I'm not a Banya. I'm not a trader, who wants to give bhakti and take something. I don't want anything. If at all you want to give me, give me, make sure that there are no material desires in my heart ever occurs, so that I can peacefully perform bhakti, your devotional service unto your lotus feet." And then by the order of Prahlad, Nrsimhadev orders him to rule the kingdom. He said, "No, I don't want kingdom because then I can be entangled." But he says, "No, you will not be entangled. And at the end of this life, you will come back to me." So by the order, because Nrsimhadev ordered him to rule this kingdom. And with his order, Prahlad Maharaj rules the kingdom. He acts like a king, enters into the grahastha ashram and perform his duties, and at the end of his life he go back to Krishna. So this is, we were just concluding this beautiful pastime, narration of this beautiful pastime, and there's so many learnings out of it, so many practical learnings out of it. We didn't discuss two questions. What is the role of devotee in our life? I'll give that also as a homework. And then um, the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj and how our life is also Graha Andhakupam. So these three questions, I'll put them in the group for homework, so that you can send me a paragraph on each of these or a voice message explaining what's your views about it. It will be nice exercise, because this is where you're trying to apply knowledge to your own situation. Otherwise, this is just knowledge which is explained at 30,000 feet above ground, so it's, you got nothing to do with it, as if. So when you bring it down to your level, compare it with your life, we come up with a lot of realizations, and it's important to have those realizations, because then only we will grow in bhakti. That will only help us grow in bhakti. And hence, my request to all of you is to sincerely take up this activity, try and answer these questions, and we can always help with wherever needed. But there's no right and wrong answers in this as well. You can sincerely share what you have to share in response to these questions, and we can all grow out of this. So with this, we will end today's session, and we'll wait if anybody has any questions. You can raise hand if you have any questions. Swapnil Prabhu, you have a question, and Vaishnavi Mataji are followed by.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, the previous question about Prahlad Maharaj being cheeky, we all know Prahlad Maharaj at the age of 5. We have said that Prahlad Maharaj was a sadhu. Definitely the duty of sadhu But at the same time, we know that whole of the incidents what we study from the beginning, Prahalad Maharaj from the womb, mother's womb itself, had known lot of facts, and the fact was that Hiranyakashipu had taken lot of powers, and that powers made him almost he had conquered the death, and he had put lot of questions, and there had to be some reason for for killing of Hiranyakashipu. Now Hiranyakashipu had powers, but at the same time he had become very confident, and I think Prahlad Maharaj was a nimitta for his death. Although he was his son, but at the same time there is a fact that he became the nimitta for for Hiranyakashipu's death, killing, and for that reason, although he was innocent, but at the same time he had acquired so much of knowledge from Narad Muni, or in the womb of his mother, as well as where he was in association with devotees. But being cheeky sometimes is not for the cause of hurting someone, but you become a you become a reason for something good to happen, and for that something good to happen, I think Prahlad Maharaj was trying to instigate that anger which brought more demon out of Hiranyakashipu, and he started challenging in front of everyone. And because of that challenge, I think Narsimha Dev had to prakat and teach everyone a lesson. And in fact, Hiranyakashipu got a better lesson, and he suffered a death in the hands of Narsimha. So being cheeky, my intention of saying that he was cheeky, not that he wasn't sadhu, but since he was the reason, the purpose behind Hiranyakashipu's death, and that's why I think I answered that he was trying to be cheeky to instigate demonish qualities out of Hiranyakashipu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, no, that's helpful, but the still the fact remains that he's trying to educate his father. He's giving instructions to his father. Now it's a different thing that his father is unable to. He doesn't look you. We don't look up to our son as a source of knowledge. Just like in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Devahuti, she goes and inquires from her son, who is Kapil Dev, who is Lord Krishna himself, and his instructions help her become a devotee. Now she's a simple woman, but took instructions from her son. But in general, we don't look at our children as source of knowledge, and hence even if sometimes they speak profound knowledge, they speak something truthful, at times we overlook them. But here Prahlad Maharaj later also, his mood is same, that he wants to he's worried about everyone. In the 16th 9th chapter 16th verse, Prahlad Maharaj says that they are the prayers offered to Shri Narsimha Dev. He's saying that, O most powerful Lord, who are kind to the fallen soul, I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition, life within this material world. But when will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet? So this is his mood. Later, even he says that he says how he is worried about the material life, people who are in the material life, how is worried about them. And that also verse comes subsequently, therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life. Yeah, subsequent verse, this comes that that he's more worried about all the living entities who are suffering in the material world. So his mood is same. His mood is that of a sadhu who wants to do good to everyone. and he takes every opportunity to instruct his give instructions and help, see that the help is being offered to his father. And had his father acted on it, probably he would have got relieved. But at the same time, as a matter of pastime, that Hiranyakashipu was also Jai Vijay. So this is all in one sense orchestrated by Yogamaya. That way, you can say that this is to instigate his father to become more demoniac, but that is not at the level of pastime. That is at the level of yoga maya. But when at the level of pastime, Prahlad Maharaj's mood is to educate his father. But at the level of yoga maya, she might be using his mood to instigate Hiranyakashipu more to become more demoniac, more and more demoniac, so that Narasimha Dev can appear quickly. So that can be orchestrated by Yogamaya in the backdrop. But when Prahlad Maharaj is speaking, he's not speaking with that intent, because he is covered by Yogamaya as well. He's speaking as a 5-year-old boy who wants his father to be saved. So both the things can parallelly happen back to back.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, here just one small twist to this. If Hiranyakashipu would have listened to Prahlad Maharaj and would have accepted everything, but still he had asked for a wish that he cannot die, and he had that wish come true. Would have been the same consequences, or there would have been a different we would have listened to a different angle to the whole of this episode, Prabhuji?
So the similar question comes when Lord Ramchandra was asked that what if Ravan was sent repeated reminders. If you remember in that past Ramayana pastime, that he's not killed at once. Like in the Hiranyakashipu comes out without any warning. Maybe these 3 conversations with Prahlad is the only opportunity that was given to Hiranyakashipu to rectify himself. Um, but per se, Lord Narasimha doesn't give any opportunity to Hiranyakashipu to rectify himself. So he just comes out, grabs him, fights with him, and kills him and finish it off. However, in case of Ravana, multiple opportunities were given by Lord Ram. At one stage, he was defeated. Ravana was defeated, all his weapons were broken, and Lord Ramchandra refuses to kill him. He says, "You go, come back tomorrow fresh, and we will fight again." So there the mood is different. So there also Lord Ram was asked that what if Ravana returns Sita Maya and then begs for forgiveness, what will you do? And he said, I will accept him. Whoever comes to take my shelter, I give them shelter. That's my mood. That is how I am. But he said he will not do it. Now, why he will not do it? Because of his attachments. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu, in theory, we can argue that had he given him his and become his devotee, chooses to become accepted the dominance or the superiority of Lord Vishnu or Lord Narasimha and beg for forgiveness, what could the story end would have been different. Now these are these are the matter of debate, but this was not to happen because of his excessive attachments. They took him down this path, and that's how the finish happened the way it happened. Thank you so much. Vaishnavi Mataji, you have a question?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, as you said that Lord gives everyone equal opportunities to do devotional service, but it is also said that nothing, if one has to become devotee, it has to become with the desire of the Lord. So,
so it's the other way around. There's a beautiful verse that Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangum Langhati Girim. Pangu is one who cannot walk. He can climb a mountain. And Mukam Karoti Vachanam, the one who cannot speak, can speak, can recite beautiful verses. Now, this is possible with Lord's mercy. a Lord's mercy can help a person who cannot speak, and help a person who cannot walk, climb mountains, cross mountains. Also, he can walk this much. However, a person who is unwilling to accept Krishna's authority, Krishna cannot change his mind to make him willing. So this unwilling to willing is individual freedom. Like Krishna has supreme freedom, we as individual souls also has our tiny freedom, and this is our freedom. Whether we can choose to be Krishna's devotee or choose to turn towards Krishna or turn away from Krishna. Now this is our will. Once we turn towards Krishna, Krishna can make miracles to bring us closer to him faster and faster. And that happens based on our reciprocation. The how intense our desire is to achieve Krishna, Krishna can arrange things accordingly. And that's why this verse says that Mukam Karoti Vachanam. He can make enabled able, but he cannot make unwilling willing. He can make unable able, but he cannot make unwilling willing. If he were to make unwilling willing, then there is no freedom. There is no free will to the souls, individual souls. So he wait for a person who is unwilling to surrender to Krishna to become willing to become willingly surrender to Krishna, become willing to surrender to Krishna. And for that, he may send help. He may send his devotees, he may send his books, he may send transcendental literature, he may send prasad. By hook or crook, yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshate. Somehow or anyhow, get your mind attracted towards Krishna. If you can, then Krishna can help you. But if you are unwilling, then Krishna cannot make you willing. Towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, I think 63rd verse in the 18th chapter, Krishna says that now I have explained you this secret knowledge. Now you deliberate upon it and then decide what you wish to do. So this is how he maintained his free will. Vimbritena asheshena yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru means as you desire, so you act. You act according to your desires. So Krishna maintains his free will there with Arjuna. He doesn't. So it's not commandment that don't think, don't ask questions, just go and fight. No, it is after speaking the whole Bhagavad Gita also, he's allowing Arjuna that free will. He's retaining that free will with Arjuna so that Arjuna can exercise his free will and then say that Karishya Vachanam Tava. That way, so Krishna does not want to make unwilling willing, but once you are willing to surrender to Krishna, Krishna can make any miracles to bring you closer to Krishna based on our intensity. We should have intensity also. We should not just theoretically surrender to Krishna and then continue to remain attached to IPL, Bollywood, rock music, pop music, eating chicken, onion, garlic. If we can't give up these basic things, then that shows our intensity is less. And then, then Krishna's reciprocation will also be accordingly. So we need to intensify our surrender and our submission to Krishna. And then Krishna can make any miracles. He can go to any extent to bring us closer to him.
So basically, it's us who decide if we want to go near to Krishna or not.
It is individual soul's decision whether they want to turn towards Krishna or they want to turn away from Krishna. And Krishna can, as I said, Krishna can send devotees, give them environment to help them make that decision. If they are unable to, if there are no temples, for example, there are no books, there's no Bhagavad Gita, how on earth we would have decided that yes, we want to turn towards Krishna. How on earth we would have understood that the goal of life is to go back to Krishna. There is, this life, everyone is suffering and we are also suffering. We might have had thought that maybe life is meant for suffering and then let's suffer. So this alternate vision comes through scriptures, and the scriptures comes through devotees. We understand scriptures through devotees. When we hear Krishna Katha, we understand scriptures. So Krishna facilitates, provide opportunities, but ultimately he does not control our mind. We have to turn, it's our own willingness with which we need to turn towards Krishna. And from then onwards, Krishna can reciprocate.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Sanjay Doji, you have hand raised.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, modern times in this materialistic world, we have so many Hiranyakashyapus around everywhere, and it's not, these are different mutations of Hiranyakashipu. They are not like in the previous kal when Prahalad Maharaj was there. These Hiranyakashipus believe in they believe in God, but they believe in certain other things also. Now, how do we tackle these kind of Hiranyakashipus around the world? Or there is another way, is that we come aloof of everything, and we'll have to be out of this materialistic world, rather than staying in this materialistic world and facing these kind of Hiranyakashipus demons. And these are all modern demons, but we don't have many of the Prahalad Maharaj or Narsimhas, they coming up and destroying them. They are still moving in this materialistic world with their head high. So what is your advice, Prabhuji, on such demonish nature of Hiranyakashipus, modern Hiranyakashipus, Prabhuji?
So the tendency remains the same. Hiranyakashipu, in one sense, is a tendency. The one who wants to enjoy and rule over the material world is a demoniac nature. And the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we studied that this demoniac nature, what happens to this demoniac nature, and then we should take shelter of scriptures. And once we do that, we can understand what is correct position and what is incorrect position, and accordingly we should pursue Krishna consciousness in our own life, and we should distribute it to others to the extent we can. So this is how we can perfect our life and simultaneously encourage others to accept the scriptures, the living of life according to the scriptural injunctions or instructions. So this is the best that you can do to protect your own self, your own family members, and distribute this knowledge to the extent possible to the others. Those who can accept it and practice it will benefit. Those who will not, they will not benefit. It's as simple as that. But even if you can do little activity to distribute this knowledge to others, and that Krishna becomes very pleased with this activity. So to that extent, this is also another simple way of attracting Krishna's mercy. So which we should do. We should, true to our yatha shakti, we should participate in that, in cultivating our own Krishna consciousness nicely and distributing it to others as much as we can.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Just say, yes, Nupur Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I have a very small question, Prabhuji. You said a very nice thing today. Krishna can convert unable into able, but he can't convert unwilling into willing. So my question was, my understanding is he can't convert unwilling into willing. That means he doesn't. He chooses not to, right? He
Yeah,
has
that's
given
correct.
choice.
So this
Yes.
is all individual souls are his own part and parcels, and since he has supreme will, free will, his particles also have that, exhibit that supreme free will, and he by his own choice has allow us to retain that free will. It is like, we give this example multiple times, that if I can make a rule in my home that when I come back, both my children should come and pay dandavat to me, obeisances to me. If they don't fail to do so, they will not get dinner. Now Now, if eating dinner is important, right? Children can't sleep hungry. So does it mean that and respecting parents is also important. However, when children come and on their own they pay obeisances and then they hug their parents, it's a different scene. Then out of fear of not getting food, they come and pay obeisances whenever the father walks in. Now these are two different situations we are talking about. One is controlled by fear, one is controlled by love. And Krishna, being Rasaraj, he wants to relish loving relationship with his souls. So the second situation, though practically doable, it is not relishable. So Krishna is not interested in that. You get the point, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So out
So
of
he
fear,
chooses not to.
out of fear, my children will come and really pay obeisances to me. A fear of not getting food is big fear. I mean, why will they? How can they sleep hungry? Just so they will come and pay obeisances to me as a matter of fear to get. So their love is this show. They paying obeisances to me does not show their love for me. Their love for food, because they have a possibility of not getting food if they don't do this. So this does not give any pleasure to me as a father. Why will it? However, on the other side, if the moment I come home, and I willingly, without me asking, instigating, if they come and pay obeisances to me and then they hugs me, and that is real love. That is done at a platform of love. That is far more satisfying than this one. And Krishna is not a boring person. Krishna wants to enjoy rasa with his devotees, and if there is no rasa, then he is not interested. So that is also another reason why he retained free will with all the souls.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Vaishnava, you have any other question? You have your hand raised.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I'll just go quickly run through the chat. If there are any comments there. Yeah, no more questions in the chat box. So we can close today's sessions. Thank you so much for continuing. I think it took a little bit, almost 34 minutes past 1 p.m. So thank you for all the questions, all the participation in the group discussions. I'll send the questions. Try and reply to those questions to the best of your ability. I'll not ask who is not responding, but it will be good for individual realization. Getting individual realization, it is good, because these questions will give us opportunity to contemplate on what we have learned. I'll send these slides, so they will also provide with you. They will also give as some homework, as some material to read through. They are all texts copied from Bhagavatam, so need not worry. We're not given the purports by Shri Prabhupada, but texts are also so much explicit, so much expressive enough to give us the message that Prahalad Maharaj wanted to give. Very clear text and very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable section of Bhagavatam, where we can pick up so many learnings, and we could have gone on discussing this for another few sessions, but we'll resume with our Bhagavad Gita topics from the next Sunday. And till then, all of you, please remain Krishna conscious throughout the week. Continue with your hearing and chanting, and remain engaged with devotees. Keep talking to devotees, keep sharing with your devotees who are close to you, and have more and more devotees close to you, so that you can engage in their devotional service more and more. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. We'll meet next Sunday. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Jagannath
Krishna.
Baladev
Hare
Subhadra.
Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
Dandavat
Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna,
Gopal
Prabhuji.
Ji.
Dandavat.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.